Welcome into Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan DeLuga. Thank you so much for tuning in here on Monday, November 4th, day before the NFL trade deadline. But right now, we're talking about my latest Jaguars mock draft. I've been giving y'all one of these after pretty much every loss since things got really ugly this year, which was about week 4, unfortunately, for everybody in Duval, all the Jaguars fans out there. But we really do appreciate your support, appreciate you tuning in. These mock drafts, they're like exploratory at this point. It's still only November. College football season's still going on. NFL's still got a long way to go. We've already done mocks, though, with Travis Hunter, Mason Graham, Kelvin Banks, Tedero McMillan. You can go check those out if you want. We're going to continue to try to keep it fresh here and continue looking at different possibilities, different ways the Jaguars could look at this upcoming 2025 NFL draft, a draft in which they have a ton of draft capital. We're doing the first 4 rounds here. As we move forward, we'll start to add rounds 5, 6, 7. But for now, we're keeping it to 4 rounds, keeping it a little more concise and focused and locked in here. But we're going to keep it fresh here on this one. We're going to select a player we have not selected yet. Again, Travis Hunter, the receiver out of Colorado, receiver/corner out of Colorado, one of the best prospects in this class. We've talked about him. Mason Graham, the interior defensive lineman out of Michigan, Kelvin Banks and Will Campbell, the tackle offensive lineman out of Texas and LSU respectively, and then Tedero McMillan, the big time receiver out of Arizona, absolute monster out there. So the way things are headed, sweeping changes need to be made within the front office and the coaching staff in Jacksonville. End of story, like point blank period. It's got to happen. I think it will happen after Shad Khan had such big expectations for this season, and they certainly have not been met all around. So at the top, the Jaguars now have the 2nd overall pick, right? Pretty unbelievable. That will change throughout the rest of the year. Different things will happen, but right now they're sitting at number 2 overall. We mentioned at the top, offensive tackle could make sense with questions about the future. The Jags traded Cam Robinson. Walker Little's now the starter. He's not under contract beyond 2024. So that's certainly up there. Another receiver to pair with Brian Thomas Jr. could definitely be in play because, quite frankly, the Jaguars just don't have someone else who really inspires a lot of confidence moving forward at this point. Mason Graham, as I mentioned, on the interior to help lock it down, create interior penetration to help out Josh Hines-Allen and Trayvon Walker, who both had great games against the Eagles. So those all make sense. But again, we're exploring different ideas, different options here. And at the top, we're going to go with a cornerback, not Travis Hunter, but Will Johnson, who is my number 2 overall prospect. So it does kind of make sense landing him with the 2nd overall pick here. Certainly adds up. He's right up there at the top of the draft for me. And he is dealing with a little bit of a foot injury right now, but he will be back. He's not dealing with anything too serious. He'll be back for Michigan. But he, at 6'2" and over 200 pounds, he's got great length. He's got just great instincts. And for such a big corner, because, that is a big corner, especially in today's NFL, he's got incredibly fluid hips. He's super explosive. He seems to always be in the right place at the right time. Like you see, for example, Jermaine Burton trying to do a double move on him last year. And Jermaine Burton's an NFL receiver now. Big time talent. Jermaine Burton's a good route runner, explosive athlete, all that stuff. Jermaine Burton tries to do like a hitch and go. And Will Johnson just in phase the entire time. Just beautifully played defense. And he does that consistently. He's a ball hawk as well. Like he gets his hands on the football a lot, comes up with interceptions for his defense. He's physical. He's long, aggressive, but not too aggressive, right? Like he just seems to be playing football the right way all the time. And you talk about pairing that up with Tyson Campbell, and you can start to look at a cornerback room that you can get excited about. Will Johnson, Tyson Campbell, and, of course, Jarian Jones at nickel. I think that could be a group that inspires confidence. It really does. And so I'd be fired up about that. I certainly would, and it's an option on the table at this point for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Would they go corner in the first round after signing Tyson Campbell to one of these kind of franchise-type extensions? I'm not sure what whoever's making the decision would do, but I think it could make a lot of sense for the Jaguars. Have one guy expensive, one guy on the rookie deal, Have Jari and Jones on the rookie deal as well. I think that could pay dividends for them very quickly because I think Will Johnson's the type of player that can come in. I think he should have been able to be in the draft last year, right? He was that good. So I think he's the type of player that can come in and play well from the jump. At 33, a lot of different directions you could go. Certainly, we're looking at getting a value here on a player who is out for the season with a torn ACL. And that is Josh Simmons, the Ohio State offensive tackle. Whether Walker Little's back or not, you need competition, depth, etc. Josh Simmons was pushing to be my top offensive lineman in this draft class before he got hurt. He is just a great athlete on his feet, and he's got the length, the athleticism, the power. I thought that he made great strides at Ohio State after transferring there. From a technical perspective, in pass protection, just absolutely dynamite with his footwork. He doesn't have a key weakness at all. A lot of these guys coming into the league, maybe they do a great job at the inside track, or they anchor really well, or they are really good at denying the, crossing the face and getting back to the interior. He does it all. And I love the way he moves in the open field, getting downfield, second level, working laterally as well. I just think Josh Simmons is a really, really good prospect, a really good talent that could fall down the board because of his injury. But that injury was sustained at a point where, a couple weeks ago, probably should be ready for the start of the 2025 campaign. And if he's not, you need to have plans in place, but this is not a pick for week 1 of 2025. It's a long-term play that you feel really good about. I think Josh Simmons at 33 would be a value even with the injury. At 71, we've got Xavier Watts here, the safety out of Notre Dame, who I've talked to you all about before. He's the only name on here that we will have a repeat, but I just can't get the idea out of my head that him playing free safety for the Jacksonville Jaguars would be absolutely amazing, regardless of scheme, like whether if it's a cover 2 scheme, cover 3, cover 1, multi coverage type of defense. It doesn't matter. He's so smart, so disciplined, and a ball hawk, right? He's where he's supposed to be when he's supposed to be there, but also a ball hawk. And you just haven't seen that from Andre Cisco this year. Not enough to pay him, certainly. I think the Jaguars, looking at their safety room, it's almost going to need to be completely rebuilt. Your 2 starters, I think you need 2 new starters next year, unfortunately. That's just kind of the way it's looking. And I think getting Xavier Watts in the draft, who is already playing at a professional level, in my opinion, for that Notre Dame defense, being able to get him at 71 would be tremendous. And this is a deep safety class, which is why you could see somebody like Xavier Watts fall to the top of the 3rd round here. And to land him and plug him into your starting lineup, I think you do that, and you also make sure you bring in a veteran. You can get safeties, quality starting safeties, for pennies on the dollar compared to other positions. So I think you get yourself a veteran and you get yourself Xavier Watts, and you feel good about that moving forward. With those first 3 picks, you help protect Trevor Lawrence short and long term, because, again, I think Josh Simmons should be able to go early on in the 2025 campaign. You get your lockdown cornerback opposite Tyson Campbell, and now that gives you so much defensively to feel good about. And you also get, of course, your safety to help lock down the back end, and you're getting 2 guys to really help improve that secondary, help improve your coverage ability, which has been the Jaguars' biggest downfall so far in 2024. We've got to remind y'all to check out Underdog Fantasy for Pick'em, Best Ball, a whole lot more. You can use code Duval Daily, and Underdog will give you a free pick to use on your first cash Pick'em entry, plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. Check out Underdog on their easy-to-use mobile app or UnderdogFantasy.com. Again, code Duval Daily, and Underdog will give you a free pick on your first cash Pick'em entry, plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. This season, Underdog is running a special promo or bonus almost every single day, like the Profit Boost bonus they have. Pump up your winnings in just a tap when you apply the boost to eligible entries. There are tons of options for Jaguars and Vikings coming up. They're going to continue to roll out more of those throughout the week. Do you think Trevor Lawrence, does he have a good day against the Brian Flores defense there or not? You can go for more or less than their projected yards. You make the call on Underdog. You want to pick a running back like Tank Bigsby, maybe Aaron Jones. Underdog has vulture protection to rescue your pick'em. That's Underdog Fantasy promo code Duval Daily to claim your new customer special of a free pick and your deposit offer. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Arizona 1-800-NEXT-STEP. That's 1-800-639-8783. Or text NEXT STEP to 53342. New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. So let's finish out this mock draft. 3 more picks, right? We made our first, second, third round pick. We've got another third round pick and 2 fourth round picks. Again, Jaguars have a lot of draft capital for whoever is making these decisions moving forward. At 90. Wide receiver Jaden Higgins makes a lot of sense to me out of Iowa State. This guy, 6'4", 215 pounds, has incredible length. And again, you're talking about pairing up complementary skill sets to a Brian Thomas Jr. I think that Jaden Higgins projects more of that possession type receiver at 6'4", 215 with great length and tremendous hands. He can go up and get it. Does not drop the football, very consistent with those hands, attacks the football the right way, uses his physical frame against these DBs really well. He doesn't really push off. He doesn't extend that arm, but he's able to use like subtle elbows and jabs and just his strength and length against these guys to create separation. The cool thing about him, though, for me, is that he really, at 6'4", 215, you would not expect someone to be able to move with the fluidity and quickness and agility that he does. So somebody with that size, that consistency with his hands, and also a nuanced route runner that can open up his hips and really sink and change directions. Special player. And these receivers in the NFL draft, I mean, every single year you just see loads of talented guys. You absolutely do. And Jaden Higgins is one of these players that, because he's not one of the more high-profile names, because he's not been on the radar as long, maybe he's not going to probably run in the 4.3s. I think that his target goal would probably be high 4.4s, low 4.5s. But with his size and fluidity, flexibility, I think Jaden Higgins would be a tremendous fit as a possession receiver X who can also move around the formation, plays in the slot a little bit, to complement a Brian Thomas Jr. and another player to complement Brian Thomas Jr. Yeah, we're going back-to-back wide receiver because I mentioned I think this Jaguars receiver room needs to be rebuilt. Whether Gabe Davis is there or not, he probably is next year because of the contract situation. But you're sadly probably going to be moving on from Christian Kirk because the Jaguars can save $10 million against the cap by doing so next year. And whoever is making the decisions is probably going to want to kind of rebuild this group in their own image, how they want to see it. So, again, I think you're tearing it down to the studs other than Brian Thomas Jr. Wide receiver Jalen Royals out of Utah State, who does have a foot injury, down for the season, should be back for the pre-draft lead-up. He was invited to the Shrine Bowl, so that's cool. Hopefully we'll be able to see him there if he's healthy. But Jalen Royals, my gosh, he is dominant at Utah State. And the way he dominates is, 6 foot, over 200 pounds, so he's got a nice frame, nice muscle, and certainly a sturdy frame at his size. He is incredibly explosive and fast. I mean, minimum low 4.4s, probably running in the 4.3s, and he's fluid, he's quick. Another guy who doesn't drop the football, is very good in contested catch situations. He's explosive leaping for the ball, can fight through contact. A player who, again, should not be available at this point, but the fact that you have so many wide receivers in this class, talented guys, and he's dealing with an injury, you could see him slide, and the fact that he's from Utah State, you could see him slide down the board a little bit, maybe top of day 3, and go get this guy, and he's a starter in the NFL, no question about it. I think he's a good starter. So productive. Again, he's checking all the boxes for me. He can move inside out, great explosiveness, quickness. He knows how to manipulate leverage. He's got consistent hands both when he's open and in contested situations. Just a high variety of usage. He knows how to get behind the defense, can run like the wind. So now you're looking at a core group of young wide receivers that features Brian Thomas Jr., Higgins, and Royals I think that's something to get excited about. And I think you keep Evan Ingram around as long as you can. You've got Britton Strange. Now you've got a group of pass catchers that's really pretty exciting, I think, moving forward. And then at 129, looked at a lot of different spots here. I think that's something to keep in mind if there is a new regime in place, which there absolutely should be and probably will be. Adding a center. Mitch Morse is under contract through 2025, but obviously he's up there in age. I don't think that whoever comes in here is going to view Luke Fortner as someone that's a long-term building block. So maybe adding a center at this point, and I've been talking about and looking at Logan Jones out of Iowa for a long time, who probably needs to add a couple pounds, right? About 295 right now. I think you get him up to 300 pounds. He's an elite athlete, and he loves to hit, loves to run, get to the second level. I think if you are smart and you go get a coach that wants to run some zone blocking schemes, wide zone, Logan Jones can help you out in that regard a lot. Whatever it is, getting him on the move and attacking defensive linemen, linebackers, safeties. He's like maybe the best athlete ever at the center position. If what we've heard from the freaks list is accurate, he's just a special athlete at the position that has really grown a ton from a physical perspective and just within his game. I think he's playing more consistent, being able to see things better, anticipate where blitzes are coming from, stunts, games, all that stuff. He's playing good football right now for Iowa. And so you bring him in here, you're probably not starting him in year one, but maybe he can develop into that starter for 2026. And I think getting that at the end of the fourth round at 129 overall would be a great selection. And that'll do it here. That's your top 4 rounds. You go get a ton of wide receiver talent to help out Trevor Lawrence and Brian Thomas Jr. You go get a starting tackle, a starting corner, both of whom, I think Will Johnson has every opportunity to be at least a Pro Bowl caliber cornerback, if not more, very early in his career. I think Josh Simmons should be a plus starter at 2 to 3 years into his rookie deal. I think these receivers can make instant impacts. I think Xavier Watts really helps solidify the consistency and the playmaking in that secondary, along with Will Johnson. And then Logan Jones to help out on the interior. I'm really liking what I'm seeing here. Would love to know what y'all think. If you enjoy the content, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Let me know what you think about the mock draft here in the comment section below. And if you want to support the channel further, you can check out jinjag.com/shop, pick up some new Duval gear, become a channel member here on YouTube. Y'all have a good one.